we were marking some fish and getting some bites, and he heard about it, ran in there and sat down, and before they could get the spread out, they caught their like third blue marlin of the day out of like 6. It's fucking crazy. It's
Wow.
badass.
Yeah, that's sick.
Just running along, you're like, all right, this feels good. Throw a bait out, and you're like, oh, there's a blue marlin. We really needed that 500 points.
And how did it start out? Like, what was the origin story?
Too much alcohol.
Really? Okay.
Says if God wanted us to have fiberglass boats, he would have given us fiberglass trees.
It's for fishermen. It's not for taking the wife and the wife's friends.
I think that it's a really, really pretty boat.
And then there was a blur that went by and ended up in the cockpit, as far as if I can remember correctly.
Welcome back, State of Sportfishing Podcast. I'm Nick Rulo. I'm joined with my co-host Anthony Pino with Hooked Optics and Captain of the Blood Money. Anthony's working on some new South Florida glasses for us, so we're excited to see those.
Yeah, man. I just got to say thank you to everybody in Los Sueños, Ashley Britisher, Mr. Royster, and everybody who was so accepting of us being there, and all the patrons and everybody who bought sunglasses in Los Sueños and Leg 1. Really appreciate it. It's always nice to be there. It's a pretty incredible tournament. So one day I will hopefully run a boat there. That is not this year. So
hopefully myself as well, since fishing here is just not what it used to be.
Let's talk about it, buddy. We got to get it off your chest. Let's see.
It's brutal. So
you
got one day, about another day.
I feel like we haven't even really talked to you since like you went from middle of the road middle bottom to second place in the silver sailfish. I think we covered this. And then you had a tough operation, right?
Tough operation. The fish on. I'm sure you know Andrew, right?
Yeah, I know Andrew well.
Yep, they won. So congrats to him and the team. Raul was with them too. Yeah, it's weird.
That's up there in
fishing. Very slow fishing. I think there's only like 40 fish caught the first day with a tournament with 60 boats in it,
that's awful.
That's probably the worst day one of Jamie's had in a really, really long time. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of it. There's a couple other tournaments going on, some Keys tournaments, and then the Jupiter Billfish this past weekend. I think Stetson on the Catch 23 and Jimmy David, they did pretty well. I'm not sure. I don't know how they ended up, but they did well. They caught 14 one day.
Yeah, I saw that. That's badass. That's probably one of the better days of the entire year, right?
Yeah, and then the Florida Cup, which is the Jamie Bunn's pick a day to fish. The kill box boat. Bunch of local Keys slayers caught 32 on Friday, and I think they caught another big amount on Saturday, maybe 20 something. So it's going to be tough to already beat them for the Florida Cup. I'll say that.
Shoot, yeah. I mean, I guess there was a little bit of bite in the Keys.
Yeah, one of those. They had a really good bite condition lined up. Everything was right, and those guys got on it right in their backyard. 32 for a lot. They did some sick fishing.
That's the kite. That's not even kite fishing. That's just tailors and.
Yeah, I think a lot of it. I mean, I didn't talk to anybody from that boat, but I believe it was a lot of tailors. But I know they did have the kites out for a little bit. But I know it was some good fishing. I know some guys went the second day and they still caught them, decent, but not that good.
What is it the same thing that makes them bite down there? That except the wind's more out of the east than if you get a good northeast wind instead of a north wind?
Yeah, like more east there is like a north wind, like Miami off Palm Beach,
Yeah, just because of the way the reef turns.
Yeah, and they had they get nice blue water pushed in tight, and they had a sick edge. I saw some pictures of it. I mean, it was just a hard blue to green edge. I mean, this is like, love that.
Where was that? More further down, like Isla Mirada way, or?
Yeah, Isla Mirada area.
Would you run? Well, I guess your boat's in Fort Lauderdale. You're the front runner.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually up in Palm Beach right now. But yeah, I was in Lauderdale for a bit.
But I guess you couldn't have just like ran down there.
Not from Palm Beach, but if it was in Lauderdale, yeah.
How was the new boat?
Good. It's good. She's getting dialed in now. She's getting into her stride now.
Yeah.
Worked out a couple just new boat kinks and stuff, and but yeah, it's badass. It's a good fishing platform. Live well system's pretty badass on it. And the ride's incredible.
You got a gyro in that thing?
Gyro makes it super comfortable when you're fishing.
Do you think it helps you just, I don't know, I guess with the kites, it doesn't really, like, the kites are going to do what the kites do. So it doesn't matter if the boat rocks.
I mean, I think it does help. Because sometimes when you are rocking really bad, those, your kite reels are going up and down, and when it is really bad, you will see your corks kind of swinging back and forth, and that definitely eliminates some of that, and I think that helps, maybe get a little bit better presentation when you're fishing. I mean, I think almost the same when you're trolling,
Yeah, I got you.
I mean, not being ripped across the surface one direction and back when it's really bad. And especially if, whatever outboard boats use the riggers, it'll definitely eliminate a lot of the rock like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't use the riggers. Like, I know Quentin does. And I know he said with his keeper.
That's kind of becoming a thing of the past, even with the big boats now, isn't it? Just kind
of. I mean, a lot of big boats don't use the riggers anymore either.
Just less to get entangled.
Yeah, and I mean, when a captain stops and he could pretty much put the wind right on, the right kite, right as, and then go into a turn, that kite's already going out, that bait's going out, and then he just basically
rips around,
pivots the whole boat, get that left side some wind, and then let them shoot it out.
How long does it take for you guys, like your team, to get a spread out? Like, if you stop and you're like, all right.
I mean, if your kites are if your mates are, they got
like from in the, not like one of those ones where you just drag the kites, but actually like
no, but I'm saying if you have the kites like either behind the console or up against the mezzanine, and you're about to stop, and big boat or little boat, and you go and you throw them up. I mean, you should be able to get everything out locked up, maybe pretty close to a minute, if not just above a minute. But if everything goes smooth, you got anglers on the rods, you got mates, on the reels and hooking bridling baits, and when it goes smooth, I mean, you could get it out pretty quick.
It's pretty incredible.
And then obviously on a good wind day too, a good weather day, like if it's super, super calm, sometimes it sucks because it doesn't want to go out. Or if it's blowing 30, then you can't just go super fast either, because then you're going to set yourself up for failure.
I gotcha. My little kite fishing experience didn't go as smoothly. So I mean, fishing hasn't been great. Got your new boat. It's not, I guess it doesn't really boost confidence all that well, but you can take confidence in your second day, or your second place from the silver sailfish, and your half day where you caught 5. Like, do you when you go through like slow fishing, I mean, you're not, I don't know, I'm just, are you doing worse compared to others, or does it just suck all around? It's just hopeless.
I mean, it definitely, especially like in the operation, it's pretty much sucked all around. And the handful of boats, the boats that were like in the top 10, they pretty much all had like a cover up, almost like where they had a triple or a quad, like like an encounter like that, which a lot of the people's had single, and then a lot of those guys had single trip quad, or single triple, which, because it was still at any moment it was anyone's game, like, I mean, you caught anybody catch a quad, you're jumping on almost automatically into the top 5 almost.
Gotcha.
Which is usually, especially that tournament, we're always all going into those tournaments thinking someone's going to catch 15 or 20 or something.
I always just wonder the different approaches. Like, we had a really slow season in Ocean City last year, and it was like, you just gotta start the day catching something, and not something, but catching a billfish. And it's like what I mean, you just at that point in Ocean City when shit's like that, it's just like run until you find the best water. Like, and it could be fucking God knows where it could be. We could be halfway to Portugal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, what were you guys down there? Like, you just post up on some spots that you know are going to produce and just try to battle it out, or you still searching for a condition? Because it's the less fish there are, the more difficult they are to pattern, right? I would assume.
Yeah, it's a little more sporadic, you know.
Yeah, you can't just show up to a spot and be like, okay, I'm feeling it. Next thing you
especially
know,
like
lights up and there's
even in the operation. I
couple
mean,
fish.
from like Palm Beach Inlet, they call it like the Flat Tops area. I mean, there was, you know, literally 40 boats in a line.
Yeah.
You know, and like that guy gets one, that guy gets one, that guy gets one, that guy gets a triple. You know, there was like, you know, not much pattern. You know, so it's definitely yeah, it happens. But you know, we gotta hope
Yeah,
we
it's
get a couple more, I guess, fronts and hopefully keep pushing some fish down. I mean, it sounds like some of those trollers were catching some fish still to the north.
what do you when they get to biting in the keys like that? Are those fish always there and they're just waiting? They just find the condition, or like because you would think like you didn't really like track that condition down from Palm Beach all the way through through Fort Lauderdale, Miami, and then down to there. Like sometimes happens, you know what I mean? It was just one of those things where there was a good condition, or those ones just there.
No,
Or
they
come-
weren't there. That was just a body of fish that happened to probably just come in tight to the reef on that perfect condition. That blue water, you know, come up tight up on the reef there, and also it helps too when you know they come up top swimming too. You know,
for sure. Yeah, I mean, but that's condition oriented. I just wonder.
but
Like-
I mean, the Keys it's like a handful of days a year. The Keys always
Yeah,
typically gets that condition and has a big number day like that.
but that's typically like in March and April, right? That's pretty
Typically, yeah. Typically, it's later in the season. Like, yeah. I mean, this is definitely earlier than normal. You know, you'd expect maybe some fishing like that, maybe up still in Palm Beach or something. But
It just all goes to the age old question of like it's just so amazing that you get the right condition and they're you know, like for me, everything up here in Ocean City, like in the Northeast, kind of moves a lot slower and you can kind of watch it develop. Where like down there, it just seems like, oh look, everything was right and they were there, you know.
Yeah.
It's just my card. Like I've always just pondered, like where the hell are they when they're not?
yeah. No, we always
I
joke.
just
You know, where do they go? It's like one day they're there, and then one
take the
day
wire
they're-
transfer on a nice day and just go out there to 1,000 foot and set that sonar down and look around, dude.
They're definitely out there because there are some days when you do go offshore when it's calmer, especially later in the year when you like kind of like when guys start go mahi fishing. I mean, there's days out there you'll go out there and you'll see a dozen or more floppers. You know,
Yeah,
Yeah.
interesting.
they're out there.
Interesting.
There's been some good fishing going on in Chubb, really good.
Still, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I'm sure coming up on the moon, it's going to get good again. But I know a couple weeks ago, I mean, some of those boats were having some big blue marlin days, and boats are slamming out. Some good fishing. I mean,
That's
Chubb's good. Chubb's good, man. It
Yeah.
sucks. It sucks.
I assume it was blowing southeast there pretty good for a while.
Honestly, I don't know if it really was blowing southeast all that much. Honestly, it just, I don't know. They must have had some good water in there, some bait, and they had, you know, there's some bunch of fish in there.
You fish there very much?
Yeah, I mean, I was hoping, you know, the wire transfers were still buttoning up a few things with that boat, and hopefully we could still get over there while it's still good and before that whole marina fills up.
Yeah. The guys that I fish with in Costa Rica and the DAC, they got a house there and they fish there a lot.
Yeah, I mean, there's some guys, you know, their boat stays there for a long time. It's just brutal, man, because when it's bad, it's just bad.
And other than catch bonefish, there really ain't when you're on the dock, there's nothing else to do, is there? I've never been there.
No, not much. I mean, yeah, bonefish, and then I mean, if you like spearfishing,
Diving,
you could
yeah.
do some good diving. Deep dropping, honestly, is so. It's not It's not out of this world by any means. I mean, now too, I mean, the wahoos do get in there good too. Not big ones, but they do get some wahoos in there. But yeah, I mean,
Gotcha.
but yeah, I've had some sick days in there.
Yeah, I've only just driven through there. It always looks good. Pilot whales in the middle there, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Interesting. Pretty, I don't know. I've never been there. I think I might go with Tucker. Trying to figure that out. Maybe fish a tournament with them there. Fish that chub one. They have 2 tournaments there or just one?
I don't know. Definitely one, possibly 2.
I think the one in early April, I think, or March.
I think there's one less Abaco one this year too. I think there's 4 this year and instead of 5 maybe.
I got you. Yeah, I'll be over there. I'm hoping to be there. The schedule's filling up. I don't know what we're doing. Yeah,
I know we just got signed up for the custom boat shootout.
Nice.
Hopefully custom production too, and always look forward to those tournaments.
Yeah, all the cool kids.
All the cool kids, all the good guys.
Yeah, there's a lot of great boats there.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any plans after the spring?
We'll be in Abacos for a little bit, and then we'll do Harbor Family, what we did last year, and we'll probably head down to Long Island again.
I gotcha. Do that.
Hopefully it's a little calmer this year. I mean, last year we had some good fishing, but we never saw a day where it didn't blow 25 knots and just kind of laid up a lot.
Yeah.
Where like at Long you're exposed to the wind at all times, and in Crooked you get the fish in the lee, which is, they both have their pros and cons. I mean, Crooked you're in the lee, which is awesome, but then the bugs are just atrocious at night. And Long you never really have bugs because you're on the east side there, so you always have wind. So it's like no bugs, rough, a lot of bugs, calm.
We have limited experience there in the Bahamas. One of the worst, it's always been rough as fuck, and we're so used to, like, when it blows 25 here, like up here in North Carolina, Ocean City, you're like, I gotta go 50 to 100 miles typically. I'm not gonna run, like, unless it's really good, I'm not gonna run. We're not going fishing if it's 25, but we were like, the couple times we've gone to the Bahamas, we're like, oh well, it's only 5 miles or whatever it could be. How bad could it be? It was fucking atrocious.
Bad, yeah.
We put that little, well, it wasn't.
Bahamas gets rough, man. Abacos get,
and I think
really
it's the
bad.
illusion. You're like, we're just gonna go out the inlet and take a right or a left, and then we are fishing. But then you're like, it's been 40 minutes and I've gone 5 miles.
Yeah, and you're taking them over the bow.
Yeah. Our old Viking, man, that poor boat. So.
Yeah, Bahamas. It's funny. It could be the calmest of calm, but it could be nasty.
Yeah. So
nasty.
Yeah, have you ever been to Costa Rica?
Yeah, not in a while, but
you would like it. You would like that List 1 Yo series.
I know. I gotta one day.
Can't even get in there if you don't have a condo now. It's annoying.
Yeah, it kind of sucks because they don't let any Capos boats in or anything
anymore.
Keep on dreaming. Stay here and catching nothing.
Never seen you this negative. Cheer up, buddy. It's gonna be all right.
Oh man,
it's not fun when you're like, it's not supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be fun, but it doesn't need to be fun all the time, But it's kind of sucks when you're like, you just know that for some reason the way the season's going, like, it's gonna be a struggle.
Or just when you go out there and fun fish and you're just like, man, let's catch a couple fish, like make some people happy, like, and it's frustrating when you can't do that,
Yeah.
Like I fished last Monday with spot 0 people, like, oh yeah, just, it'd be great to catch a couple sails. Yeah. I wish I could have did that for them. Do you come down off the tower with the quintessential, that's fucking fishing? I hate saying that. Better luck next time.
Yeah, like, I hate this. Like, especially, I don't know. I feel like I know enough now that I should be like, I feel like confident enough now that I feel like I should get some bites, but it's the ocean and it's fucking fishing, and it sucks to say that because that's kind of like the saying, that's like the fishing version of saying it is what it is, and I hate that.
Yeah.
Like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna
Spot Zero is coming out. I know they're going to be rolling it out at the boat show, which is going to be like a dock unit, which is pretty badass.
Yeah. Do you have a Spot Zero in your boat or just
No,
on?
just a water maker.
Gotcha. I want to get one in one of those in the boat units.
Yeah.
We should have
This one's nice though. I mean, for people that for obviously center consoles that, you know, it's going to be nice. And then, you know, for
Is it
other-
smaller?
They have two sizes. They have like a smaller size, which is nice. And then they have like a bigger size for a bigger boat still too. But it's nice. Like if you don't have the room on your boat or whatever, you know, you have a nice dock unit, which is cool.
We have one. We have a dock unit now. Like I don't know what you mean, but just the regular one that's like, I don't know, 4.5 feet long.
And then there's like a couple membranes to it or a
Yeah.
few.
Yeah, thing's fucking heavy, but they work. I drag it everywhere with me.
They work.
It helps. So I don't like this Nick Crulo. I like the one that's flying, catching all the fish, not this one that seems a bit hopeless,
We'll
frustrating.
get 'em. We'll start. We'll come back.
When's the next tournament?
After the boat show, we have the second
Oh,
leg
wow.
of the
Okay.
quest weekend right after the boat show, like February 24th, I think.
Gotcha.
So that's 3 inlet one. That's always a fun, tricky one because, you know, guys are one day everyone bolts up to Palm Beach and then they're biting in Miami, or everyone goes to Miami and then they're biting in Palm Beach. So
What do you think about these tournaments? Like, I mean, there's like these tournaments that encapsulate like season-long tournaments, like the Mongo tournament that's like the Gulf Coast and the East Coast. There's another one just for the East Coast. Then you guys have the Florida Cup, and then that's a smaller version of, but it's such a big area, and it's not really like, I like tournaments because everybody's together and you either get to hang out with your buddies or compete against your buddies or people you don't even like, but at least you're
Yeah.
all together. You know, you pull in the same marina and you're like, fuck, that guy fucking whacked him today, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas that tournament you're talking about, what's that, the Sailfish Challenge?
challenge, yeah.
It just seems like you miss out on that kind of tournament atmosphere having the boats, because the boats are either going to all go where they know they're biting or they're just going to fish out of their inlet, right? Their home inlet, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna get I mean, you'll get guys that no matter what are gonna stay at their home port pretty
Yeah.
much, and then you'll have the guys that, you know, will make a transfer. You know, especially if they're biting really good at one end or something. You know, guys will make the move. You know.
Yeah, or you can just run it if you have the boat or the
Yeah, you
conditions.
can run it if you have the boat and you know the weather's right and stuff. That's just long days, but it's normal for you guys. But yeah, you know, because
Yeah, but that's
you leave
that's-
in Miami and go fish in Palm Beach, you know,
yeah, especially if
and then
there's
you have
the
to come back to Miami for the bait and everything. You know, it's
and then if it's the right conditions and if you're not in a fucking battleship, if it's in north 20 knots, I guess you can hug the beach, but if it's not like northwest, it's gonna be shitty.
oh yeah, if you're in a little boat, you're not gonna make it.
I mean, what's like for you run, I wouldn't say they're little boats because they're highly competitive there, but like what's the cutoff where for you like just be like in your new front runner boat where you're just like, we're not gonna get there. It's like 6 foot the entire way for 40 miles, or do you just say fuck it, we're going? I guess it's a matter of how much time you have.
Yeah, time and I mean it depends. Like if I know we really have to get there, I mean I'm gonna try my best though.
Yeah.
Figure out how to get us there. But sometimes it either doesn't make sense or it, you know, maybe it's not even possible, you know.
Do you have to worry about like, do the bait wells keep the bait no matter how rough it is, or can you just kill half your bait getting there?
I
That's-
mean, that's definitely a thing, but you know, obviously, you know, with the right wells and you know the right amount of water going to them, and you know they're staying completely pressurized, no sloshing, no, you know, air in them. You know, they will make it through a trip, but it definitely wears on them, you know.
I gotcha. Interesting.
I mean, no matter what, I mean, if you come down off a big wave and the boat rattles, I mean, everyone feels it. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not sure can't speak for the bait, but I know they feel it.
Gotcha. And when you're running, do you run it in the tower typically, or when you're like, or are you downstairs?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much always in the tower, just trying to see something, even though if you're going super fast, it is tough to see anything. I mean, especially if you're moving in the tower, you're kind of more just holding on for dear life.
Interesting. And where do you?
We've done it. We've all done it. Everyone's done it. Everyone's done it. Hugh, JC, Art, and the little boats. I mean, we've all made giant runs, and they do work sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, what was that day that Q told us it was rough and he made that it was a big move?
Yeah, he made like a freaking, I don't even know, 60 or 70 mile run mid tournament and then started railing them.
That's crazy. I mean, there's
not a better feeling when you make a move like that and then you start just railing them. I mean,
stop and you first bait, you can't even get nothing in the water and you're like, oh, well, bite, you know?
yeah.
God, that's a great feeling. I watched my buddy Austin do that in Costa Rica I guess it was week before last. We were kind of picking and we were in a little fleet that was kind of developing and we had been there for a while. We were marking some fish and getting some bites and he heard about it, ran in there and sat down, and before they could get the spread out, they caught their like third blue marlin of the day out of like 6. It's fucking crazy. It's badass.
Wow. Yeah, that's sick.
Just running along, you're like, all right, this feels good. Throw a bait out, and you're like, oh, there's a blue marlin. We really needed that 500 points.
Yeah,
pretty badass when that works out.
Yeah. When a move works out, that'll definitely get the confidence and team and everybody just fired up. Because sometimes that's all you need, man. Is just a little momentum, you know. And you get that momentum, that morale. Everyone's fired up, and sometimes that's all it takes.
On my boat, then the doubt goes away from downstairs. It clears my head. They don't ever say anything, but even if they're not saying anything to each other, I know what they're thinking. It's negative. So just pick up and move, see what happens. I don't know, buddy. I hope it gets some biting for you. I mean, it was 60 degrees the other day in Ocean City, so that doesn't bode well for you guys down there if it's like that. When they're biting,
it doesn't sound like it's gonna push anything else towards us.
I feel like when they're really biting down there and you see the boats, like everybody leaving the inlet, the boats are falling off the waves, and it's like 25 degrees in Ocean City, and you guys
smoke on the water,
stuff like that.
Yeah, we need some more smoke on the water.
I think it's something that's changing, man. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to call it climate change, like climate change, because I have my theories about that, but definitely some pretty, I guess, abrupt changes in the last couple years, and a lot of very traditional fisheries, you know. I'd be curious to see what Art and Q have to say about that for the thing about, you know, they've been fishing long enough that they can actually like say like, oh, I saw this 20 years ago when me and you were like 10.
Yeah. I mean, Q could definitely give us some good. I mean, Art too, but Q's been doing it for a long time.
Yeah,
he's definitely seen some changes.
I'll be curious. Everybody up here says it like it goes in cycles, and maybe that may be the case, but the last cycle or the cycle before that, like if you go back 20 years, like people weren't looking at satellite shots and knowing where to fish. They just kind of guessed, you know?
Yeah.
I don't necessarily, and they didn't go more than 50 miles back in the day. They went out to a place, anchored up, and went tuna chunking, you know? So they weren't going marlin fishing. They're like, there were no marlins back then. I was like, well, you didn't fish for them.
Yeah.
You know? And the people that did were out there all alone. So I'd be curious to see what some guys that have like experience have to say about that. Cause I mean, this trend of slow fishing for you guys this time of year is nothing new in the last couple of years, is it?
It's normal. It's the new norm.
So then you get like,
and the new norm is, you know, great fishing May and June and Stewart. I mean, all summer long.
Yeah, I've heard that. It makes it I guess it would difficult to wake up in the morning if it's going to be 40 degrees and blowing out of the north, and like they're not going to bite, and just like, why am I leaving the dock? But they've bitten enough over the years that maybe this will be the day.
Yeah, we always say that. This will be the day.
So there's still plenty of good days to be had.
Yeah. Now we got plenty of fishing. Plenty of fishing.
Cool, buddy.